let's start with a really common question is, how do you travel with your remedies? And
Okay.
so since you do more traveling than I do, why don't you answer that question?
Okay. So I will also disclaimer, how I travel with my remedies might not be how I would tell other people to travel with their remedies. If you've been around long enough, you know that's kind of the case with me. I travel with them. I have an EMF protective bag now that I carry my remedies in all the time in my purse or backpack with a laptop or whatever. So I would really highly suggest that. So I've actually, you know what, my habits have gotten better. So here we go. We have a beautiful, wow, that's very beautiful. It's embroidered with her N and M. So Sue LeMay at Rural Hill Creations, I can't ever say that well, that word, makes very beautiful, lots of different design bags. There you go. Melissa's showing us here if you're watching on YouTube. And also, we did a podcast with her. So go back and listen to that. She has an Etsy shop, Rural Hill Creations. She will also custom design some or make them a little more unique if you want them. She's such a wonderful lady. We have several bags from her that I think we both love. When I fly with them, I usually check several, and I don't worry about putting those too protected unless I'm traveling very often, but usually it's a few times a year. And in my carry-on, I have them hand check them. So I'll take the pouch out and I'll just ask, can you hand check these? And that just means they're not going to go through the x-ray machine, and they'll just typically they open it and take a little swab inside there, run it through their machine, and it's good to go. They've never asked me about them. I know some people have been asked and they just say their medicine and they're like, okay, they don't show up with anything bad, and then they don't go through the machines. I have had them, I've forgotten and put them through the x-ray machine before. They still work fine. If you're flying regularly, I would really have them protected and have them hand check your remedies. And then that way, if your bag gets lost, also you have it with you. I don't really put them in my checked baggage very much. That's how I do it. When I drive, I just keep them with me.
Yeah, perfect. Sounds
Okay.
good. Thank you for that.
First thing I feel like everybody wants to know, either diarrhea or constipation. Something disrupted in my gut when I travel.
So diarrhea, I would do arsenicum album. Arsenicum album is probably always my first to go to for diarrhea. It's not the only remedy for diarrhea, but it's a number one, I believe. And then constipation, my first go to is Nux vomica. Nux vomica is a great constipation remedy. There is a Banerjee protocol for constipation, lycopodium mixed with plum bum. I really prefer just Nux vomica over that. So yeah. And then Nux is also great for maybe even the if you're kind of stressed about traveling and it results in constipation, that's going to be a great remedy.
So now would it matter if, let's say I have constipation just because like maybe I'm nervous, like you said, or stressed, versus I've been sitting in the car all day not moving. So does etiology matter in remedy choice for these things in particular?
That's a good question. So I guess it could matter. Usually, yes, we say if we know the etiology, then we want to address that. And when you just said that, the first thing that came to my mind was Mag Foss, and I don't know why. Does
Yeah,
that?
no, that did come to my mind actually as a really good one. And if you think about it, you're kind of, if you're driving, you're typically dehydrated because you don't want to stop a lot. You're not drinking much. You're maybe drinking a lot more coffee. So magnesium in general would
True.
probably, I mean, listen, that's not a scientific thing I just said. I don't know why those two facts would even go together, but made sense to me.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, great. Going with that. Also, Melissa and I both really like Mag Foss in a 200.
Yes.
Like I almost never use it in any other potency.
6X, nope.
No, some people do, and it's great, but we both like 200. Anxiety. I'm nervous about traveling. I'm like a nervous driver. I'm nervous about my plane ride. What if it crashes? What if I get rear-ended or flat tire?
Okay. Like all these remedies just went through my mind. So fear of flying, aconite, Aconitum napellus, all the what ifs, all that work, that's a worry. All the what ifs, there's Ignatia. What if this happens? What if that happens? Well,
Like
I guess
routine. Think of somebody who's like out of the norm, gets them anxious.
so. Change, having a really hard time with change, likes things to be the same. That's gonna come to me. Or can you think of something?
Well, chronically carcinosin comes to my mind, but that is probably not something I'd use acutely. So maybe arsenicum album,
Maybe,
if there's
yeah.
a lot of
True.
restless
Oh,
nerves.
okay. So if you're anxious about getting sick because you're traveling, right? Because you're worried about now I'm coming into contact with all these new germs, or I'm going to be sitting
That's a
on
good
a
one.
an
Germs.
airplane. Yeah, all that fear of germs and catching things. That's arsenicum album. All the worry and the what ifs is Ignatia, and then the fear of flying or the fear of getting on a ship. If you're going on a cruise, is aconite.
So what about anticipatory anxiety leading up to it? Would
Oh,
you
good.
take Ignatia leading up or the protocol?
I like Gelsemium 200 mixed with Caliphos 6C for anticipatory anxiety. And you can start that as soon as you start worrying about the trip.
Even if
So you
it's a
can,
month away? My
even if
month,
it's a
my
month
trip's a
away,
month. Okay.
you can take it at every time you get nervous and upset about it, just take it.
Trouble sleeping.
Mm.
And because the bed's weird, everything's weird. Not for a problem, and not because they're sick. Just I can't sleep well.
So if the bed is uncomfortable and hard, then maybe arnica, maybe baptisia, but baptisia really is if you can't get comfortable in bed because you're sick. So
Mhm.
I think arnica is a great sleep remedy. But so especially if the bed's really hard and uncomfortable or, whatever, it's
But
causing
if
your
like the
body.
pillow's funky and like I get a kink in my neck.
See, that's why I take my pillow everywhere.
I know I'm about that old. No offense, because you're not like old, but there's like bring your own pillow old, and that's
Uh-huh.
like mid 30. I think I'm there.
Oh, I'm
Yep.
definitely, I pack my own pillow everywhere I go. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, but if the bed, man, the beds at the retreat were so
They
comfortable.
were so
Could you
good.
believe it?
I
They were,
almost need to, now that you say that, I want to go back and tell them thank you for the really nice beds.
oh my gosh, everything was
Yeah.
so clean, so
Because
perfect.
that will make or break an experience for me.
Right? It really will. An uncomfortable bed where
Yep.
you're sleeping on an incline.
Or the pillows at the hotel that I swear all they did was stuff a bunch of cotton balls in there. Why is it so lumpy? Like, what did you put in there? Not a pillow. Anyways,
So
so
arnica. I think
arnica.
arnica would be a number
That
one.
actually segues into what would be my next question, jet lag. Or for kids too, like disrupted sleep schedules because you change time zones.
That's a good one. I know it, but I can't. So jet lag. I know
Arnica, I
this.
think, is one. I think Arnica was one that made me think of it, unless I got that wrong.
Oh, cocculus.
Okay, yep.
Cocculus. I mean, arnica might be. Oh, here's another one. Oh, no, that's cocculus again. Okay. Yeah,
So
that's the
Cocculus
one.
is a big jet lag
Another
one.
main.
What about obviously overindulgence? What are overindulgence, whether it's you go out and drink too much or you have a ton of food that you're not used to, maybe. So maybe like overindulgence, but also when you're in, especially if you're visiting another country, it might not even be that you had too much, is it's just very different from your norm.
If you overindulge, you had too much of anything, sugar, junk, gluten, dairy, any kind of drink, sun, activities, nux vomica is the first one to go to. But if it's if you're in another country and the food is just different, well, then I think it would depend on what the symptoms are for you. So if you get bloated, that's like a
Okay.
podium. If you just
Mhm.
get a stomach ache, that's nux vomica. If you have diarrhea, arsenicum album. What else could happen for different food? I mean, that's
What
basic.
about just like cramps? What if you don't even really have diarrhea, but like your stomach is not settled?
So when my stomach is like that, cramps or set, well, I can just, I mean, yesterday I ate cherry pie, and that's just something way out of my norm. And then last night I had like really crampy, but for me, it usually comes with a little some burning also. So if it's like cramping and burning, and it's really that like stomach ache from eating something different, carbo veg is great for that. Really,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
nat phos, has the indigestion, the heartburn. But if your stomach is really just cramping and there's no diarrhea, then magphos.
Okay. For like any cramping like that. What if you have chemical sensitivity to fragrances like Airbnbs that have those things all over the place, or cleaners or things like that?
And isn't that so common? And that was another thing about the retreat place. There was no chemical
There were
cleaner.
none. It smelled like a log cedar cabin.
So wonderful.
It was
Okay.
great. Yeah.
So, right. So I hate all those smells. You walk into a hotel room and it's just bleach or the plug-in thingy. Nat mirror is the first one that comes to my mind for chemical sensitivities.
So
Um,
how would you dose something like that? Not
so
something like that. That's, I mean, Natmir. How would you dose Natmir?
a 30C or below, unless you just have had a lot of nat mirror in your life and you know how you respond in nat mirror and you need a 200 and that's perfectly fine.